Okay, I wanted to show you how to troubleshoot the pneumatic system of this positioner. Right now we're going to look at the pressure regulator of the positioner, which is right here. This is a newer style regulator that's a little bit flatter. The old style looks like this, would be mounted like that. This style can be replaced in the field. This style cannot, because we install this in the factory and calibrate it while it's mounted in the housing. So it's a little harder to calibrate out in the field, which is why it's not replaceable. That's our QA department who's made that decision. But this can be ordered and replaced. This one can. But anyway, I wanted to show you, I've got a positioner hooked up here. I've got this is the tube that runs from the regulator over to the driver. Now I'm just going to pull this off here to check and see if I've got air pressure. See, I've got air pressure blowing out right there. You can kind of tell that's about how much air pressure should be going. If you've got a spare gauge, this gauge isn't really suited for this because the gradient's not high enough, but you can push the tube in the back of this gauge just to kind of get a general idea as to how much pressure is coming out. See, that's about 20 psi on that gauge, which is about right. That's what it should be. If it's reading a lot lower than that, or if it's reading a lot higher than that, then your pressure regulator is having some problems and either needs to be replaced or yeah, there's different reasons. Potentially, you know, it could have failed because it got overheated. The soft goods in it have plasticized, or it could have failed because there's contamination going through it. I'm just hooking the regulator back up over here. There's this little barb that tube fits on back in here. So that's one way to check and see if your pressure regulator is sending air pressure through this little tube. Now I was going to show you one other quick thing. This is how to test your piezo just momentarily. So I've got my 4 to 20 source here. I've got my two little leads here, positive and negative. I'm just going to source 4 milliamps, excuse me. I'm going to disconnect. Here's the piezo. This right here, this wire is the piezo wire. So it has a little tab that you have to push in from the side and pull out. So this is your piezo. Now, I've got air pressure on this positioner right now, and I've confirmed that my regulator is working just fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this power to the side of this plug. You can see there's little teeny tabs right there, electrical connections that you can make. So I'm just going to touch the black to the black of my meter to the black of the piezo wire, and the red of my meter to the red of the piezo wire. Now it's kind of hard. Sometimes you need 3 hands, but it should actuate. See? I just briefly, momentarily touch it. Now that, you can see that actuates my valve. Just briefly touching it. Now this is overpowering the piezo. This is putting more power than the main board would ever put onto it. So it's not definitive as to whether or not your piezo is completely bad. But if it moves when you do that, it does show that your piezo does still have some life in it. If you plug this in and you're unable to get it to respond to a calibration, do a factory reset first. To do a factory reset, you push the quick cal button in. Sorry, I took power off the positioner. There's no power on the positioner. Push the quick cal button in and then put your power back on. So then it'll light back up and it'll blink red, green, red, red to show that it's been factory reset, and then just recalibrate it after that. That's how you do a factory reset. Anyway, so yeah, so we talked about troubleshooting the pressure regulator, troubleshooting the piezo, just the general pneumatic system. If you want information on the spool valve, I've got a YouTube video for that as well. But that's just kind of some generals to look at. Okay, one other thing I just wanted to do really quickly is show you kind of what a piezo should be operating with its voltage when the valve's at 50%. So I've got this positioner balanced at 50%, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect my leads. I'm going to leave this plugged in. I'm going to put my red wire, this is a voltmeter, I've got it in voltage measurement right now. I'm going to connect my red wire there and my black wire there. It'd be better if I had sharper leads, but I'm going to do what I can with these. Sorry. Okay, so right now you can see it's modulating the voltage to the piezo. Sorry, I have a bad connection, but It's modulating the voltage to the piezo right around 13.5 volts. That's a good healthy piezo. At 50%, the piezo should be operating anywhere between 10 to 17 volts and be just fine. If it's, excuse me, sorry, I keep on losing connection. If it's much higher or much lower than that voltage range, again, 10 to 17 volts, you might want to look into either adjusting your pressure regulator. If you adjust your pressure regulator higher, it'll make it so that piezo has to have less voltage to operate. If you adjust it lower, it means it has to have more voltage to operate. So that's a good healthy piezo right there. Just wanted to show you a reference.